sadness and loss here at the 37th running of the U.S. Nationals because the motorsports family has lost one of its champions. On Wednesday, August 28th, Gary Ormsby succumbed to cancer. Over the 20-year span of his drag racing career, Gary captured many victories, but more importantly, he won the respect and admiration of his fellow racers. The young man from Northern California first showed his championship caliber in 1984 when he edged out Joe Amato to win the Winter Nationals. In 1986, Gary became one of the charter members of Team Castrol, but it wasn't until 1989 that he achieved his dream of a Winston Top Fuel Championship, a feat that will serve forever as a testament to the essence of Gary's spirit and character. It's said that the quality of a man is measured as much by what he overcomes as what he achieves. Twice that year, at Sears Point and then at Brainerd, Gary suffered major accidents, only to rebound with a champion's gritty determination and will to succeed. That 1989 title was hard-fought and richly deserved because Gary knew even then of his illness. But being the very private person he was, he shared the news only with his longtime companion, Susie Hoops. Last year, Gary was a central player in the most dramatic Top Fuel season in history, as he and eventual winner Amato dueled all the way to the last round at the Winston Finals. The magnificent sight of the acknowledged best meeting in the California sunset will live forever in the annals of drag racing. Gary's last appearance in a Top Fuel dragster came this past May at a match race in Topeka, which he appropriately won. Shortly after that came the reoccurrence of his illness, which had been in remission, and his courageous struggle against death. His untimely loss will leave an emptiness among friends and loved ones. But let us not remember Gary Ormsby for the cruel brevity of his life, but for its quality and richness of its accomplishments.
Thermal breakdown.
Welcome back to NHRA Today at the U.S. Nationals. Quite naturally, the passing of Gary Ormsby has cast a somber shadow over the proceedings here in Indianapolis. But in one Top Fuel pit, there's a real purpose. You see, the Ormsby racing operation has been purchased by the Austin family. And Pat Austin, you made your first Top Fuel ride officially here at Indy. How'd it feel?
Felt great. The car really pulls in the middle compared to an alcohol car, and it's awful exciting to race. It's amazing how big the racetrack is in a dragster compared to a funny car. You can see everything in a dragster, and the funny car is limited on what you can see.
And I sense the spirit of Gary Ormsby among all of you.
You bet. Gary was a great competitor and a great person, and we're going to do our best to carry that on into the 90s, and this team will always be part of Gary Ormsby Racing, and we're going to get in the winner's circle just like he did.
Well, that's one of the breaking stories. Let's find out what else is hot. Pro stock driver, car builder Jerry Haas is the first to debut a 1992 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme 10 Series automobile. Let's look at some of the aerodynamic tricks. The engineers have gone to 3 headlights, reduces the frontal area, and it's a great look. Now notice these 2 ridges that start at the front of the car and run all the way down the side. Wind tunnel tests tell them that's better aerodynamics, managing the air. Also, a bit of a spoiler here to join with the race car spoiler. And remember, all of this is on the street car as well as the race car. This is not a highway flag person. This is Top Fuel driver Tommy Johnson Jr., but he's borrowed a vest that they wear on hot days. It's pretty low tech, but real effective. You see these gel packs, you keep them in the freezer. As Tommy shows us, 2 in the front and then there's 2 in the back. Does it really work?
Yeah, this is a good idea to try and keep us cool in the car on the hot days and keep our concentration, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, we'll see.
So, as you can see, what's cool is what's hot. The U.S. Nationals is the 14th of 18 events on the Winston Championship calendar, and a win here is vital to title hopes in all 3 pro categories. Now, until about 6 weeks ago, funny car was wide open. Then John Forrest went on a 3-race win streak, and John, now you have a 2,000-point advantage. Win here this weekend, you could be out of sight.
Well, Steve, we could. We were lucky. There are a number of races our car performed well, but luck is major. But this is Indy. This is a big one, and being crowned the champ in 90, it just doesn't seem fitting if you never won Indy to say you were the world champ. So if we're lucky enough to get to another championship, I need to win this race right here to kind of put an edge on these guys some more, because I'm not real happy with the lead.
It sounds like John is not counting his chickens. Let's see how his closest rivals feel about this points contest.
We're definitely not giving up in the Snickers Kmart Dodge Daytona. Anything can happen. We got to win our rounds, and if he goes out early, we definitely got a shot at this.
We've got some good tracks coming up. The conditions are going to be good this fall. We'd like to think that as powerful as this car is, we can pull the gap up just a little bit. We'd like to make a chase out of it.
Sitting back in a distant fourth in the point standings is Ed the Ace McCullough. But don't forget, the Ace has won the U.S. Nationals 5 times. Now, earlier this week, his crew went looking for an Indy win of a different sort when they took part in the latest round of the Castrol Pit Crew Challenge. Here's Dave McClellan with all the details.
The final pair of the first round of the Castrol Pit Crew Challenge finds the team from the Otter Pops Oldsmobile going up against the crew from the Raybestos Olds.
Really, it's a chance for us to get out and show off what we do in the pits because nobody ever sees that.
We have to all work together and try not to stumble over each other in the process. And everybody has their own specific area to work on.
3, 2, 1, go!
I do the left head. Basically, I'm responsible for taking the spark plugs out, taking the valve cover off, pulling the intake manifold off, catching the pistons as they come out, push in 8 new pistons, 4 on my side. Rich Hartman will be pushing in his 4.
I'll be removing the right side plug wires and valve cover, and then we'll take the manifold nuts off, and then I'll go for the cylinder head nuts and the rocker arms. And then when I remove that, then they'll be ready for on the bottom for the pistons to come out. And I'll shove them out, and we'll push 8 new pistons back in. I'll just do the 4 on the right side. Chris will be on the left.
The bottom end guys, you know, we push them in. They put the caps back on. Then basically I got to put the head back on and put the push rods in, the rocker supports and all back on. The valve covers, the spark plugs, the wires, and everything.
Then we'll reassemble. We'll put the heads back on, spark plugs, valve covers, and the manifold and blower. And then I'll be the starter, and we'll start the motor for 20 seconds afterwards.
The Otter Pops team made it to the final 4 of the Castrol Pit Crew Challenge with an astonishing time of 9 minutes and 35 seconds, shattering the previous record of 11.5 minutes held by John Force and the Castrol Attack Team.
The U.S. Nationals is a 5-day festival of speed, but the hot competition is not limited to just the drag strip. Earlier this week, the NHRA Pro All-Star Softball team held a practice game to get ready for next month's big affair with the NASCAR drivers. It was quite a sight. The Midwest Sports Complex in Indianapolis hosted the first official softball practice of the NHRA Pro All-Star team.
Real hot, and they're beating us to death, and I'm old and tired. Practice is practice. It's a practice game. The guys are having fun.
We're having a good time, and we're doing exactly what we need to do, and it's practice.
Well, we're going to get better. We're going to get better. It's all right. It's fun.
The practice included a 7-inning game that pitted Indy area and motorsports media members against the drag racers. And although the media all-stars beat the NHRA all-stars, when the dust settled, the drag racers vowed that the loss would be their first and their last.
You got to understand that's our first defeat, you know. I mean, so you got to get beat once in a while to be humble so you can come back and play harder next time.
So be there when the NHRA battles NASCAR in the All-Star Benefit Softball Game 2, Tuesday, September 17th at Knight Stadium in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Here are the phone numbers with ticket information.
Castrol presents the GTX Pipeline, the latest news from the world of drag racing.
Welcome to the brand new Winston Concourse behind the brand new high-rise grandstands on the left-hand side of Indianapolis Raceway Park. With me is Wayne McMurtry of NHRA, who coordinated this $1.8 million improvement, and it looks like every dollar.
Well, thank you, Steve. The National High Rod Association is extremely proud of what we've been able to do here at IRP, and it is a new concept in motorsports. It is truly for the spectator. It's park-like atmosphere with all the amenities, and the spectators have just raved about it.
And there's a familiar sign in the food stands.
Yes, we have McDonald's with us at this event, and we like to refer to it as this is the home of the real quarter pounders.
Let's go eat. The property of, as it says on this t-shirt, Joe's Army, because Joe Amato now enjoys a 1,600-point lead over Kenny Bernstein, with Don Perdome even further behind in 3rd place. And Joe, I don't have to tell you, if you can win the Winston Championship one more time, you'll own another piece of drag racing history.
Well, Steve, you know, it's not over yet. There's a lot of racing to go, and we're not proclaiming we have a championship. You know, Bernstein's right there, and if we fumble and he's right there to pick up the marbles, it could change the whole complexity of the deal.
But a 4th title, no one's ever done it.
Well, we're really trying, and that's our focus for the whole year. But we'll just take one round at a time and hope we get there when it's all over.
All right, that is Joe's perspective. Let's hear from the other contenders.
He's got to go out early, and we got to win some races, and we just hope we don't run out of time.
I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen things turn around real quick in this sport, and we're not out of it yet.
13 years ago, right here, was one of the most emotion-packed funny car finals ever staged. Two drivers currently in the top 10 point standing squared off. One was Don Prudhomme, who you just heard from, and the other was the Snake's greatest rival, Tom the Mongoose McEwen.
In 1978, the Indy 25th anniversary race that I won, and we beat Don the Snake Prudhomme in the final. There was probably one of the races that I'll always remember the most, because I had just lost my son to leukemia. Right after that, I joined the Leukemia Society of America's Sports Board of Directors, and I travel around every week and go to children's hospitals just like we did this weekend, visiting cancer leukemia patients and their parents, and the hospital visits and the leukemia work that I do. It just keeps the awareness for me, and I'm hoping that in my lifetime see them beat this thing. They were good friends, Don and Jamie, and he knew what I was going through, and of course he missed him too, and then to come up against each other in the final and the whole deal, and then us to be fortunate enough to win the race, and then you know, we both kind of pulled over in the grass down at the end of the track, and he come down. He was crying, I was crying, and it was quite a touching moment there.
The staging lanes this weekend at Indianapolis Raceway Park will see over 1,100 competitors, the cream of the crop. But the grassroots of drag racing are the bracket racers who compete weekly all across the country. Now, the best of the brackets, they compete in divisional championships. Last weekend, Bob Fry checked out the action in South Dakota at Division 5's Thunder Valley Raceway.
NHRA Championship drag races are contested coast to coast. And while you might be familiar with names like Joe Amato, John Force, and Darrell Alderman, you might not be as familiar with names like Rick Sprick, Mike Voss, and Dale Long. But they're the racers that make up the backbone of the sport, the bracket racers. And this is the Division 5 Firestone TNN ET Tournament from Thunder Valley Raceway.
Some 15,000 drivers, from the 7.5-second dragsters to the 24-second subcompacts, have been taking their talent to nearly 150 NHRA member tracks across the U.S., Canada, Puerto Rico, and Mexico. Now, elapsed time, or ET bracket racing, is very simple. You pick a time that you think your car will run for the quarter mile. Then, find the right bracket that is Super Pro, Pro, Sportsman, or Motorcycle. And then comes the hard part. You have to run the time you pick consistently. The simplicity of this form of racing keeps a lot of racers from ever leaving brackets.
I like the brackets because you literally don't need to have a ton of money in your car. You need to have a car that's consistent. You need to be a good driver. You need to know your car.
Some racers race in class racing during the year and try to make it into the Firestone TNN tournament, but usually they find themselves on the short side of stick against the real dyed-in-the-wool bracket racers. Guys like the owner of this gorgeous 69 GTO, Dale Long.
I bought it brand new. I drove it up to 1980. Me and my wife took my honeymoon in it, and it was a regular grocery car until 1980. And I parked it for about 5-6 years, and I've been starting to race it the last 4 years. I like the bracket racing. That's what I like the best. You can do what you want to your car. You ain't gonna worry about meeting the specs and all that stuff.
The Firestone TNN ET Racing Tournament boasts the largest number of competitors of any motorsports program. Due to the large geographical area of Division 5, it's been split into 2 tournaments. Running the races this way has had a positive effect on the number of cars competing.
A lot of tracks doubled the participation on the weekend, week out, but everybody went up a good 25% with the Firestone TNN program. And, you know, the more that we can put into it and the more efforts by everybody concerned, that figure is just going to grow.
One of the features of the Firestone TNN tournament was the race of champions, matching the winners from all of the division's participating tracks. Winning for a second year in a row in Division 5 was Monty Ferricks.
There's a couple of rounds I was really going. It was, you know, the margin of win was, I don't know, a couple, 3 thou. And, you know, anytime you have that kind of racing, that it can go either way.
The bracket tournament includes racing for the Super Pros, Pros, Sportsmen, Bikes, and even high school competitors, with all of them earning points toward an overall team title. And this year's track championship team from Division 5 came from Brainerd International Raceway.
We did real well in bracket 2, which garnered a lot of points for us. Unfortunately, some of the other brackets didn't do quite as well, but we did just enough to pull it out.
In the pro final, Wayne Griffiths pulled off what every bracket racer dreams of. He ran the number, his exact dialed-in time, as he defeated Terry No in the near lane.
About 4 weeks ago, I decided to go back to brackets, and I won 3 out of 4 races, including this one here.
Now here are the rest of the winners from the Firestone TNN ET race for Division 5.
The brackets are a great way to get your feet wet in drag racing. But first, you need to join NHRA. With each membership comes a variety of items: a patch, a pen, decal, and subscription to National Dragster. And if you call the number on your screen, you'll receive a bonus, the Diamond P Video Drag Racing 1990. So go grab your phone and make that call. Join in the action. You know, pro stock racing has to be frustrating for the entire field because Darrell Alderman in his Dodge has a tremendous points lead over 2,400 and appears well on his way to a Winston championship. Warren Johnson, you're the closest driver to him. You're still putting the heat on.
Oh, yeah, we're still putting the heat on him, so to speak. It's possible for us to win a championship. We've got to average 500 points per race better than him, which is awful tough, but nothing's impossible.
You know, one driver who is out of contention but knows an awful lot about winning Winston championships is from nearby Whiteland, Indiana. Of course, I'm talking about Bob Glidden.
Just south of Indianapolis, amidst miles and miles of Indiana corn, lies Whiteland. At the edge of town, a sign boasts of its native son, the winningest drag racer in history, a legend of the sport, and hero to many racers and race fans.
Well, I don't know that I'm any kind of a legend, and certainly not any kind of a hero. Our goal was to try to make a living doing this and to try to be able to put something aside so that when we became older in life that we'd have some kind of a retirement.
Bob grew up here and was a 3-year letterman at Whiteland Community High School. This quiet town suits Bob Glidden and the family lifestyle.
He's still basically the same down-to-earth person that he was 28 years ago.
The shop holds the mementos and the 80 Oscars garnered over his career so far. His sons Billy and Rusty have grown up learning the family business.
Racing has been a big part of their lives. They've grown up around it. They've been involved, mainly because they've wanted to be involved.
He left it up to me. It was my choice to either stay here and work or go to college, and I chose to stay here and work and be a part of the racing team.
I can't say that it's an easy life. You have to understand this family is just, it doesn't, if we're playing checkers, we're at each other's throat. I mean, we don't do anything to lose.
Win or lose, the Gliddens have an extended family, the fans.
We appreciate the fact that the fans come out and see us. They want our autographs. They stand in lines. They stand in the rain even to get autographs, and we're really flattered by that.
This year, he set a new top speed record for pro stock at Sears Point, but Bob doesn't dwell on past successes.
With the innovations going on in drag racing and the intelligent people that there are in drag racing, not only in pro stock, but in top fuel, funny car, and all the way down through the bracket racers, none of us know what the end of this is. There are some special things that have happened, some special world championships, but really one of the greatest triumphs that we've had ever was our last win in Atlanta. It was just one of those lucky things that happened, and we won a race, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Nor could a win at Indy come at a better time either.
Bob and Etta are the heart of the team, the nucleus of the family, and an inseparable pair.
Etta and I have kind of grown up together. We've grown through this business together. I think we're kind of 2 in 1. That's kind of the way I look at Etta and myself. When I'm at a race and Etta's not there, it's like part of me is missing. Sometimes we think we don't do too much together, but we do a lot of things together. We'll spend some time in the sauna. We work out a little bit on the weights. Sometimes maybe jump in the tanning bed. Occasionally we bowl. We do various things.
He's a great basketball fan, likes to play, likes to watch the game.
Recently, a third-generation Glidden has made appearances at the track. Rusty's son, 3-year-old Brandon.
I'm going to start him off on go-karts and hopefully, starting from there.
We're in a profession where it is a family profession.
Perhaps the Glidden family can be summarized by a framed poster that hangs proudly in their living room.
It spells it all out. It shows the whole picture.
Sorry to say we're out of time for this week's show, but be sure to join us next Sunday when we'll have U.S. Nationals results from Hoosier Land. For Bob Fry and Dave McClellan, I'm Steve Evans.
NHRA Today has been brought to you by Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by the special offer from Diamond P.
For years, you've all loved Diamond P Sports Home Video, Decade of Thrills, the ultimate drag racing experience. Well, I've got some great news. Don Perdomo and I are back with the all-new 90-minute Decade 2, the thunder of the 80s. Eddie Hill cracks the fours, then flies away. Connie Coletta marches past 290. Ed McCullough and John Collins will never forget the Cajun Nationals of 84, nor Kenny Bernstein, Maple Grove, PA, 87. Glidden won his 50th and his 75th in the same decade. It's all in Decade of Thrills, too. To get your copy, send $24.95 to the address in your screen, or better yet, call 1-800-767-1600. Visa and MasterCard accepted, no CODs. Call now, 1-800-767-1600.
NHRA Today is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.